So let's talk about something super frustrating, something that happens to so many of us in the carnivore world, the weight loss stall. I mean, you're doing everything right, you're eating clean, you feel amazing, but that number on the scale just will not move. Well, today we're going to dig into exactly why that happens, and more importantly, what you can do about it.
Yeah, it's a classic story, right? You are being so strict, you're totally committed, and bam, the scale hits a wall. Maybe it's even creeping back up a little. It's enough to make you just want to throw in the towel. But here's a thought. What if the problem isn't about how committed you are? What if it's actually coming from those healthy carnivore foods you've been told are perfectly fine? You just heard a quote from Lisa Duncan. Now, Lisa has been a carnivore for 5 years, and she managed to break a really long stall and lose 34 pounds. And get this, she's talking about butter. You know, the stuff so many of us just slather on everything without a second thought? Her story is such a great reminder that sometimes the so-called safe foods are the ones we need to look at the closest.
Okay, so let's get into Lisa's story, because here's the really interesting part. She didn't even start this diet to lose weight. Not at all. Her reasons were way more serious, way more urgent. And because of that, she developed this incredibly powerful and kind of unbiased view on what truly makes a difference.
So for years, Lisa was dealing with these awful gut problems that were just wrecking her life. Think constant pain, swelling, feeling miserable all the time. She just wanted it to stop. And when she went carnivore, it didn't just fix her gut. The crazy thing was, the 34 pounds, the end of her joint pain, the amazing mental clarity, all of that just came along for the ride. It's such a great example of how when you focus on healing your body from the inside out, the weight loss just happens.
Now, her journey to carnivore wasn't some straight shot. It was more like putting a puzzle together. You know, conventional diets, they all failed her. Then a doctor gave her a FODMAP sheet, which was kind of the first clue. Then a subscriber on her channel suggested trying a meat-only diet, another clue. That sent her down the rabbit hole of researching things like oxalates and lectins from experts like Sally Norton. Finally, she decided, okay, I'm just going to run my own experiment. She went super strict, and the results were undeniable. It was the healthy vegetables that have been causing all her pain.
All right, so that's the backstory. But how does she crack the code on her weight loss stall? Well, using everything she learned over 5 years, Lisa identified 10 super common mistakes. So let's dive into the first 3. Think of these as the absolute foundation. It's all about fasting and monitoring.
Okay, tip number 1, intermittent fasting. Lisa's point is that once you're truly fat adapted, you're just not hungry in the morning anymore, which makes skipping breakfast a breeze. Number 2, get serious about limiting dairy and condiments. Cheese, cream, even butter, it's so easy to overdo it, and those calories add up like crazy. And third, use those little keto pea strips. Seriously, they're a cheap and super easy way to get instant feedback. Are you in ketosis? How did that meal affect you? It tells you what's really going on.
And speaking of dairy, Lisa picked up this fantastic rule from Dr. Kim Berry that I just love. Here it is. Think of cheese as dessert. That's it. It's a treat, not a main part of your meal. Just that one little mental switch can make a huge difference in your calorie count without you even feeling deprived.
All right, moving on to the next couple of tips. These are all about putting on your detective hat. You're going to become an investigator of your own body and your food.
Okay, tip number 4. This one can be a little controversial. Weigh yourself every single day. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't that obsessive? But Lisa's take is that it's not about obsession, it's about information. When you see those daily ups and downs, you get immediate feedback on what you ate yesterday. So instead of it being a source of stress, it turns into this incredibly powerful learning tool. You see what works for your body right now.
And this brings us to tip number 5, and this one is huge. You have to investigate your meat. I mean, really investigate it. Meat is not always just meat. You have to become a hawk when it comes to reading labels. Lisa found hidden sweeteners in fancy deli hams. And don't even get me started on the sugars and weird fillers you find in rotisserie chickens, sausages, hot dogs, even eggs at a restaurant. The big takeaway here is to assume nothing. Read every single label.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about food. Now we're going to zoom out a little bit. Tips 6, 7, and 8 are all about those sneaky lifestyle habits and hidden things that can totally derail your progress, even if your diet seems perfect on paper.
Tip number 6. This one is just non-negotiable. You have to prioritize sleep. Lisa learned this from Dr. Eric Berg, and it's so important.
When you don't sleep enough, your body gets flooded with cortisol. That's your stress hormone, and it's basically shouting at your body, emergency, store fat, hold on to everything. So if you're not getting close to 8 hours of sleep, you are fighting a losing battle against your own hormones.
All right, tip number 7 is about the hidden dangers of eating out. And this story from Lisa is just wild. She was at a Waffle House and ordered an omelet. It came out looking weirdly big and fluffy, so she asked, and guess what? They told her they add pancake batter to their eggs. Can you believe that? A lot of restaurants do this, or they'll add whipping cream to make their eggs look bigger. You think you're ordering a simple protein meal, and you end up getting a surprise dose of carbs and sugar.
Next up, number 8. We got to talk about alcohol. That glass of wine you have at night to unwind, it might feel innocent, but even one drink can spike your insulin and slam the brakes on fat burning, just brings it to a screeching halt. Now, Lisa says if you absolutely have to have a drink, your best bet is something clear, like gin or vodka with soda water. But honestly, if you are stalled, alcohol is one of the very first things you've got to cut out.
Okay, we are down to the last 2 tips. These are big ones. We're going to talk about some of those so-called natural foods that can still get you into trouble, and then we'll wrap up with the most important mindset shift you need to make this all work long-term. So tip number 9 is about things like fruit and honey. And the key here is that natural does not mean free pass, especially for fat loss. Any kind of sugar, doesn't matter where it comes from, spikes your insulin. And insulin is basically the fat storage hormone. When it's high, you are not burning fat, period. And as you can see, not all fruits are created equal. You look at something like grapes, and they'll send your blood sugar through the roof. But then you have a small handful of raspberries, and it's a much smaller blip on the radar. Knowing this difference is everything.
And here we are, the final tip. Number 10, be very, very careful with those packaged keto products. You know what I'm talking about, the keto breads, the bars, the cookies, the fat bombs. The grocery store aisles are full of them, but so many are packed with weird sweeteners and fibers that can absolutely cause a stall. So here's the game plan. Start strict. I'm talking beef, salt, water strict. Get yourself stable, get the scale moving down, and only then should you start testing things one at a time to see how your body actually handles them.
So, after all that work, all that self-experimentation, is it even worth it? Well, for Lisa, the answer is 1,000% yes. She says it changed her life in so many ways that she never, ever wants to go back. The freedom from pain, the clear mind, all that energy, that's the real prize here. That feeling is what this is all about.
Look, at the end of the day, the goal here isn't to copy Lisa's diet down to the last gram. The real goal is to steal her method. It's about becoming a detective for your own body. So here's my question for you. Think about these 10 mistakes we just went through. What's one thing, just one, that you can test out this week? What's one experiment you can run to figure out your perfect carnivore style? And finally, get that scale moving again.